This is a little bit of an awkward angle, but in this video we can talk about aftermarket alternators or just upgrades in general. In most cases, your vehicle may not come with the biggest alternator that's available for it. GMs are really good. GM V8s are a really good example of this. Most of them will come with the smaller case. It usually puts out like 105 amps or something like that. You can usually get a large case GM alternator that'll put out around 140, 160 amps directly from the parts store, and then you have warranty and all, and you know it's local, it's an amperage upgrade. May not be the best cost-wise, but you know it's an option, especially if you're planning on running multiple alternators. Then it'd be a pretty good option, actually. But yeah, there's that. There's a couple of aftermarket companies that I could recommend. MechMan, Singer, Ohio Generator. Iragi alternators are usually pretty good as well. But they're all reputable companies. They usually do great work, and you have a lot of options as far as amperage, style, the way they turn on, whether or not they're internally or externally regulated, things like that. And you know, as far as how they're regulated, I can't really go into much detail on that because I've only ever had internally regulated alternators. But I mean, even being internally regulated, you still have a lot of options, because you could have like a one-wire self-turn-on, self-exciting. You can have ones that use like a GM regulator, which, you know, it's pretty much a universal alternator at that point. You can use it on a lot of different things, and you know, I can go on forever talking about that. But some of these alternators can actually work with the vehicle as it is, you know, use the factory plug and all that. It's mostly done on older vehicles that don't have the PCM charging, so you know, you don't have to worry about low voltage and all that. But newer vehicles, and you know, even some older vehicles like this Jeep, this is a 2000, it had PCM controlled charging, so that's why you can kind of see I have the where's that? I have the GM regulator, but this one was also built up as a one-wire, so you don't plug anything into that. It excites itself and it regulates itself. Something you definitely don't want to make the mistake to do, though, is go on eBay and try and get one of these cheap high amperage high output alternators, because most of the time it's just a rebuilt stock unit that doesn't really put out the amperage, or you know, different things like that. There's a lot of shady things that come with it. But some things to definitely look for to tell if you're getting a good alternator: make sure that like the case size is kind of close to the output. Like, you wouldn't expect a small case GM to put out like 300 amps reliably. Also, if it's got like a stock size pulley, like, I don't know how well you can see on this one, it's got a nice overdrive pulley. Kind of helps with your amperage at idle and just overall output. I mean, there's a lot of things to look at, there's a lot of things to consider, and by no means am I saying I'm an expert on any of this, but it's just my 2 cents. Another thing too, though, if you do get a higher output alternator, you definitely need to upgrade your grounds and your charge leads, because stock charge leads will not handle larger alternators like in excess of 200 amps. It's definitely a good way to ruin your day if you don't upgrade those things, or the alternator may not work at all. This Singer I did have issues with at first because I didn't have a ground on the alternator. Like, it wouldn't even excite itself. But once I added that ground, it's worked flawlessly since day one. So, yeah, until next update, later.